Welcome to Trigger Warning with your host, Chris Brumbles. Are you tired of the professional liars of fake news and far-left radicals? Are you ready for truth and common sense? The insanity and divisiveness of political correctness and identity politics have no place here. So welcome to Trigger Warning, where free speech is free speech, not racism. There are no participation trophies, so if your mind is weak, grab your binky, head to your safe space. Consider this your trigger warning.
Good afternoon, America, and welcome to another great episode of Trigger Warning, where we embrace truth and common sense and we reject free speech, killing political correctness, and insane leftist ideology. Today we have quite a show for you. We have four great guests who are all participating in protecting your rights by working to get the Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance or amendment, depending on their counties, on the ballot in November. Now, I know that left-wing opponents of the say-so and say-sa would have you believe that if it passes, the earth will open up, the sky will fall, and we will all be damned to hell. They will tell you that people will be killing people in the streets and that children will be bringing their guns to school. These are the same things that were said when Oregon adopted a concealed carry program. And not only did these things not happen, but now CHL holders have been proven to be the most law-abiding group of people that there is. In fact, a police officer is 6 times more likely to commit a crime with a gun than a CHL holder. The left always uses fear tactics in everything they do because their whole ideology goes against human nature. And if they allow common sense and reason to enter a topic of conversation, they are through. Done. Finished. Remember, necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedom, and the left has to live by crisis. To them, everything they want is a necessity, and everything they are against is a crisis. Aristotle, Marcus Cicero, Nicola Machiavelli, English Whigs, early China, Plato, Hippodamia, Horace, Ovid, Sir William Coke, Montague, Thomas Hobbes, Hugo Grotius, James Harrington, John Locke, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, James Madison. I have studied all of the important people through the ages, all the empires through history, commentaries of the first 50 years of our country from the greatest legal minds of all time, commentaries from the Second Continental Congress and the First Congress. Early Supreme Court justices, the Bill of Rights, Federalist Papers, the state constitutions from whence the ideas of the Bill of Rights were adopted, read over 2,000 years of history on natural law and the right to keep and bear arms. A few things are for sure and certain. The right of self-defense is the palladium of liberty, as the right of life is the first law of nature. Every gun law is illegal, and our right to self-defense is and always has been ours by any means necessary, especially as a last resort against a tyrannical government. Even 2,000 years ago, Aristotle knew this, and pretty much every government since. Gun control is a fairly new thing in the world, and the times it has been used was to enslave and to kill people. Over 200 million people killed in the 20th century alone, mostly in times of peace, by their own government. Of course, tyrants don't care about your rights. They just want to be tyrants. And some have gone against the law of nature, and more will in the future. As we all know that history repeats itself, and there are no angels among men. The Second Amendment does not give you the right to protect yourself. That right came from nature and nature's God. And the Second Amendment was written to chain the government. But even though it explicitly says shall not be infringed, there are 30,000 plus gun laws, depending on where you look, out there, and the left has proven that it won't stop writing these illegal laws until all law-abiding citizens are disarmed and helpless. Most things the government does nowadays are illegal. We created government to protect our rights, not to plunder us or nanny us or lord over us or to further an ideology. I will reiterate that the Bill of Rights are really a bill of limitations on government, kind of like the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt make no laws concerning, etc. When we created government, we loaned them a few powers and defined them. The government is not God, and we do not elect kings. When our elected employees go beyond the point the powers loaned them, that is called usurpation. And that, my friend, is tyranny. If you are wearing a mask right now, you are experiencing tyranny firsthand. If you read the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions, you will find that Jefferson and Madison articulated a remedy for usurpation. It's called nullification, and according to them, it's the natural right of self-defense. As I said, we do not elect kings. In Federalist 46, Madison reminds us that the people are the common superior to both the state and federal government. He also includes several remedies for usurpation. Among the least painful, and bloodless are nullification. The anti-commandeering doctrine is several Supreme Court precedents cases that have set precedent for nullification. The most famous, of course, being Mack Prince versus the United States. By the way, Sheriff Mack will be on the program next week, and we'll chat about that. The say-so, or say-sa, does kind of have an effective nullification, but that is a fringe benefit. What it does is relieve the county of the obligation of enforcing unconstitutional laws and using our money, personal buildings, etc., in order to steal our rights or confiscate our personally owned private property. And it does this by county law. Folks, this law has teeth. If a deputy or an officer enforce these nefarious gun laws, the deputy or officer will be fined $2,000. His office or department will be fined $4,000, and you can still sue them. Now, I'm going to just give you a few numbers from the CDC. Their own numbers, and by the way, they're not the most gun-friendly. So last year, there were 32,000 deaths by guns. 60%, or 19,200, were suicides. 3% were accidents. 900, that'd be 960. 4% were justified, 1,280. 33% were homicides, 10,560. 80% of the homicides were gang-related, so that would be 8,448. That leaves a little over 1,700 deaths by guns. So you have 1/10,000% of a chance of being killed with a gun if you do not with a gun. If you don't plan on committing suicide with a firearm, committing a crime, and you're not a gang member, well, now it's 1/8 millionth percent of a chance of being killed with a gun. Guns are not the problem to anyone but the control freak tyrants that want to enslave us. Nearly everything you learn about guns from the media is a lie. This is about control, and we need to hang onto our guns, America, as these are the times for which the Second Amendment were articulated in the first place. And we know it. That's why there are record gun sales nearly every month, and why we gained 5 million gun owners just in 6 months of last year alone. You have more chance of dying from falling off a bike, falling in the bathtub, baseball bat, fists, feet, swimming. Should we get rid of swimming pools or teach people how to swim? You have more chance of dying from driving a car or even being hit by lightning. Oh, by the way, there are more than a dozen scholarly studies done by various government agencies and by the way, universities that prove that there are 2.5 million defensive gun uses each year. Some will go even higher. Bet you never heard that from the media or crazy Kate Brownstein. You've been played, my friends, by the media and the far left radicals. Our legislature has gone off the reservation to the point that all they do is plunder your rights and property. We don't even have the rule of law we are guaranteed under Article 4, Section 4. The supermajority in Salem is being led by a postmodern neo-Marxist communist. Her words and actions prove this theory. The evil arrogance in Salem has declared war on us and is leaving us with a choice between shackles and war. As long as we hang on to our rights to self-defense, we still have a chance to take back our state peacefully. Hence the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance. I will be right back with my guests, Rob Taylor, Misty Fox, Jim Hoffman, and Jesse Bonifer. We'll see you in a minute on Trigger Warning. Hey folks, Chris here. Are you tired of political correctness and left-wing narratives? You must be, because you're listening to Trigger Warning, where we will have none of that. I'm your host, Chris Brumbles, and I have no filter when it comes to truth and common sense. I have a big mouth when it comes to protecting freedom and will never be afraid to use it. So tune in to AM 1600 Kohai every Tuesday at 3 for brand new shows. And if you have to miss one, don't fret. Trigger Warning rebroadcasts Monday through Friday at 3. Politics, constitutional issues, and history are just a few topics that we will conquer on Trigger Warning. So thank you for your support, and keep tuning in to Trigger Warning on AM 1600 KOHI. The Second Amendment is the palladium of liberty. and protects the first law of nature, the right to defend yourself. Our rights have been under attack for many years now by would-be tyrants who want to control you. That's why I'm asking you to remember to vote yes on Measure 5-278, the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance. Don't listen to the watermelons who are giving mis and disinformation on this county law that will protect your right to keep and bear arms. If you have questions about the say-so, call 503-263-5830 and leave a message with your contact name for Chris Brumbles, your chief petitioner for the say-so for the Columbia County. I will get in contact with you, answer your questions, and even get you a copy of the law if you'd like. So remember to vote yes on Measure 5-278, the say-so. And while you're thinking about it, go to OregonFirearms.org and sign up for the free alerts, where you will get the truth about the illegal laws coming out of Salem to turn you, the law-abiding citizen, into a felon or a victim of a criminal who aren't affected by these laws. Did you know that using the CDC's own stats, if you don't plan on using a firearm to commit a crime, commit suicide, and aren't a gangbanger, your chances of being shot by a firearm are 0.08%. That's right, you are far more likely to be struck by lightning. Gun laws are about control. It's time to be better informed about what's going on in Salem, so go to OregonFirearms.org, sign up for the free alerts, and if you feel like donating, it's not required, but it will be put to good use. As important as the Second Amendment is, the free speech protections of the First Amendment are just as important. I'm a proud contributor to Redoubt News. Please subscribe to Redoubt News, where citizen journalists who actually care about accuracy put in the time to do the research and fact check. Don't rely on the fake news of the lamestream media. Sign up to get Redoubt News. It costs nothing, and if we get enough people interested, Redoubt News Oregon will be coming soon. Remember, Redoubt News for real Americans like you. Once again, thank you for listening to Trigger Warning. Let's get back to it right now. Good afternoon, Columbia County. You're welcome to Trigger Warning. We were going to have 4 people on today, but it didn't work out. We have 3, and calling in is Rob Taylor, who started the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance, and we have Jesse Bonifer from Umatilla County. He was the chief petitioner there for their Second Amendment Sanctuary Amendment. And Jim Hoffman he was the chief petitioner for Clatsop County. And I think that all 3 of these people are heroes, and I'm proud to have them on the show. I'd like to start with Rob. Rob, what made you want to push for the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance?
Well, for many years, I've been watching them take away more and more of our rights to keep and bear arms, our rights to self-defense, and it was evident with all of the laws that were coming out of Salem and the laws that were even coming out of the federal government at that time. This is going back to the Obama administration in 2012. We knew that this was happening. And so in 2015, when the state decided to pass a background check bill, we decided that we need to pass something that was offensive and would protect people that you could use on a county level. And one of the things we came up with was the Second Amendment Preservation Ordinance, which was the first law, because there's actually 2 laws that we are pushing. The one that gives the sheriff the authority to decide whether a state or federal law violates your Second Amendment rights, or the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance, which just gives a directive to the county stating that the county will not use any resources to uphold state or federal laws. And so when we passed the first law, the Second Amendment Preservation Ordinance, in 2015 in Coos County, it made national news, and it started a whirlwind of counties wanting to pass this resolution, or as a resolution or as an ordinance in their counties in at least a dozen different states.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'm thankful that you did it, and I jumped right on the bandwagon. We did the SAPO here and passed it in 2016, and we have the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance on the ballot this time, and I hope it passes by a huge margin. So, Jesse, how hard was it for you to gather signatures this time in Umatilla County?
Well, in Umatilla County, it was actually fairly easy with the help of Holly Joe Beers and Kate Brown booths. We had it in Milton, Freewater, Pendleton, and Hermiston, so it was available to everybody in each community, so it was easy to get the signatures this time.
Good. Did people seem enthusiastic about it?
Very. Everybody wants to lock in their Second Amendment rights and protect themselves from unconstitutional red flag laws.
Okay, so I'm going to, this is one of my pet peeves. We don't have Second Amendment rights. I want to remind everybody that our rights are given by God when we're born. But that's okay. I wasn't trying to. So how did it go in Clatsop County there, Jim?
Clatsop County, it worked really well. We had a lot of Democrats coming over to our side, as well as just about 99.9% of the Republicans wanted to see this law. They were in favor of it. They understand that the rights that the counties and the cities, what they're doing, I should say, to our rights, and they were very happy about wanting to see this come into fruition. They're tired of the states telling us what we can and can't do, and we need to bring it back to the Constitution. I was a guest speaker at a Women's Republican event last week, and everybody in there was so happy, excited to see this coming to the ballot in November, and I really believe we're going to get it passed.
I do too. I hope all 4 counties pass. And I want to explain to people that the difference between the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance and the Second Amendment Sanctuary Amendment, the amendments are for charter counties. There are, I can't remember, somewhere between 7 and 9 counties. I think there's 7 or 8 in Oregon. And they actually amend their charter. It's kind of like their own little county constitution. So it's going to be pretty effective, I believe. So, Rob, we're already hearing the ground's going to open up and lightning's going to fall. We're going to have earthquakes and all kinds. And people are going to be shooting each other in the street. Have you got any of that backlash in Coos County?
I'm very fortunate to live in a redneck county. God bless America. And I live in a county where I think people, even on the left, people who are very liberal, have seen the value of the Second Amendment. In fact, when we have Antifa, yes, we have Antifa here in Coos County and Black Lives Matter, and they show up to their rallies, they are armed with guns, and I often remind them that we support their right to be able to open carry and concealed carry. We believe in that right, and even though we don't agree with their ideology, we support their Second Amendment. So I think that the left is also seeing the value of the Second Amendment, and we have nothing but incredible support here on pretty much both sides of the aisle, and not only that, there's several politicians who've come out. The sheriff supports it. This is an all-around good law, and I think people are going to be blown away with what we can do on a county level, because not only does this law give an ability for a county to uphold its citizens' rights, but it takes away that qualified immunity for police officers who violate our Second Amendment rights and our right to defend ourselves, because it puts a fine on the agency and the officer or agent who violates the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance, and it's a Class A misdemeanor. And that's the uniqueness of it, and that's what makes this law different than most of all the resolutions that have been passed in every other state.
Yes, I mentioned earlier in my earlier rant that all these things, we only have about 2 or 3 of the, well, there's probably a dozen of these Black Lives Matter and Antifa people. By the way, they just tagged our Black to the Blue sign with, I guess, pink balls from must have been from one of them paintball guns. They're going to replace it for free, but these people, they're going around preaching that this is going to get everybody killed and there'll be guns in schools, just like they did last time. But they did the same thing when Oregon passed the CHL, the concealed handgun licenses, and
right.
And with the stats we have now, it's showing that you are 6 times less likely to commit a crime with a CHL with a gun than a police officer. So, anyways, I think there's going to be a reckoning coming in Oregon and Washington this November. Do you all agree?
Oh, absolutely.
I do too, yes.
Have you seen that around your area, Rob?
Yes, I have seen that. And some areas, like I said, Redneckville here in Coos County, Douglas County, Curry, we're not going to have the problems that they're going to have once again in Portland and in Eugene and in areas where you have high concentration of what the leftists. And I've stopped trying to define them as BLM or Antifa or the Democratic Party. They're just the leftists now. And they're pushing more than just an election. They're pushing a Marxist agenda, and this is part of their revolution. And I do not think this revolution is going to go away after the election.
I agree with you.
I agree also.
I got to tell you, it took a year and a half for me to gather signatures for the Second Amendment Preservation Ordinance. This time, I had people coming from everywhere. We were doing the Cape Brown recall, which helped tremendously. Had probably 50% Democrats signed that in this county. And it took a month and a half to gather the signatures for the say-so. How long did it take in your county, Jim?
It took us just about 9 months to do it when we got started.
That's still awesome.
But I had three wonderful people. Vanita Lauer, who was running for House District 32, she helped out a lot. We had Sonia Reichel. She came and helped, as well as Deb Ferguson. And that was a powerhouse for me because we were able to knock it out quick.
Well, I want to remind everybody that Rob Taylor also, amongst all his other stuff he does, he has a radio show in KWRO in Coos Bay. We'll have him put that information out at the end. But the lady who was going to be on with us, Misty Fox, we couldn't get her on. She has quite a. We'll have her on later on. She has quite a situation to talk about that happened to her recently. Yeah, I'm just going to tell the people what has passed in Oregon. We had SB 541 that we got several years ago, and that was basically a check on your privately owned firearms. And when that passed, I like to call him anti-Zansky, but Prozansky came out and he was being interviewed by the media, and the media said, this is going to do nothing for criminals. And he said, well, I know, but it's a good start. And then, good start for what? Well, we know now because they passed the red flag law, 917, which violates the 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 14th Amendment. Then along came 4145, which Brad Whitless signed and then went out and put hunting gear on and sent out flyers to everybody saying how pro-gun he was, and that redefines family members for the purpose of confiscating firearms. And then we had that 978 last year that didn't pass, where they want to just outright take your gun. So these people, I think that this is so important. Rob, how important do you think the say-so is?
I think at this point it's one of the most important things that we are going to have to do on a county level, yes. Because if this insurrection, this communist insurrection carries forward after the election, and it's only going to be ramped up from what I believe, the counties are going to be left to defend themselves from possibly rogue state governments like the Cape Brown shirts. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm maybe stretching this a little bit, but when you have what's going on in Portland and you see the politicians kneeling to these anarchists and these Marxists and capitulating with these Marxists because they're getting everything they're asking for, mm-hmm. especially here in Portland and in Oregon, what's to stop them to keep taking more? So the counties, at the county level, according to the Oregon Constitution, we have home rule status. And even if you don't have a charter, a county here in our state, the laws that we pass are equivalent to the laws that are passed in the Constitution, and the politicians here take an oath to the U.S. Constitution, and they have to enforce it. So this is going to help us align with the United States Constitution in case the states and the state governments start breaking apart. And I do believe that if this goes further and further down the road, we could see that.
Well, thank you, Rob. And we're going to take a break right now, but we'll be right back with Rob Taylor, Jim Hoffman, and Jesse Bonifer on Trigger Warning. Hey folks, Chris here. Are you tired of political correctness and left-wing narratives? You must be, because you're listening to Trigger Warning, where we will have none of that. I'm your host, Chris Brumbles, and I have no filter when it comes to truth and common sense. I have a big mouth when it comes to protecting freedom and will never be afraid to use it. So tune in to AM 1600 Kohai every Tuesday at 3 for brand new shows. And if you have to miss one, don't fret. Trigger Warning rebroadcasts Monday through Friday at 3. Politics, constitutional issues, and history are just a few topics that we will conquer on Trigger Warning. So thank you for your support, and keep tuning in to Trigger Warning on AM 1600 KOHI. The Second Amendment is the palladium of liberty and protects the first law of nature, the right to defend yourself. Our rights have been under attack for many years now by would-be tyrants who want to control you. That's why I'm asking you to remember to vote yes on Measure 5-278, the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance. Don't listen to the watermelons who are giving mis and disinformation on this county law that will protect your right to keep and bear arms. If you have questions about the say-so, call 503-263-5830 and leave a message with your contact name for Chris Brumbles, your chief petitioner for the say-so for the Columbia County. I will get in contact with you, answer your questions, and even get you a copy of the law if you'd like. So remember to vote yes on Measure 5-278, the say-so. And while you're thinking about it, go to OregonFirearms.org and sign up for the free alerts, where you will get the truth about the illegal laws coming out of Salem to turn you, the law-abiding citizen, into a felon or a victim of a criminal who aren't affected by these laws. Did you know that using the CDC's own stats, if you don't plan on using a firearm to commit a crime, commit suicide, and aren't a gangbanger, your chances of being shot by a firearm are 0.08%. That's right, you are far more likely to be struck by lightning. Gun laws are about control. It's time to be better informed about what's going on in Salem, so go to OregonFirearms.org, sign up for the free alerts, and if you feel like donating, it's not required, but it will be put to good use. As important as the Second Amendment is, the free speech protections of the First Amendment are just as important. I'm a proud contributor to Redoubt News. Please subscribe to Redoubt News, where citizen journalists who actually care about accuracy put in the time to do the research and fact check. Don't rely on the fake news of the lamestream media. Sign up to get Redoubt News. It costs nothing, and if we get enough people interested, Redoubt News Oregon will be coming soon. Remember, Redoubt News for real Americans like you. Once again, thank you for listening to Trigger Warning. Let's get back to it right now. Welcome back, Columbia County and America, to Trigger Warning, and we have on the show today the great Rob Taylor, Jim Hoffman, and Jesse Bonifer. And guys, I'd like everybody to take a minute just to go ahead and say what county your say-so or say-so is in and what the ballot number is, or measure number. Go ahead, Jim.
Hi, I'm in Clatsop County, and it's 4-205.
Rob?
I'm in Coos County, and my measure number is 6181.
Jesse?
I'm in Umatilla County, and my ballot measure is 30-145.
And Columbia County is 5-278. So everybody make sure, if you're, well, not only to get out and vote for this in November, but tell everybody, get out and vote. Get everybody to, we need everybody to vote. Would you all agree this is the most important election of our lives?
Absolutely it is.
Until the next election.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be the most important election of our lives from here on out, but this one definitely
I'm not
is.
looking forward to next election with everything that happened this year.
Yeah. Well, I hope we get through this one, because we cannot let slow Joe Biden, you know, that guy, he's got to be about level 5 dementia. And I've already put out a article in Redoubt News about a couple weeks ago. It's called "Here We Go Again," and it proves that Kamala Harris is not only is she not a natural born citizen, she's not even a citizen. And the left, of course, the left have stolen what a citizen is, but still we got it. I don't know why we can't get the big media to talk about this.
Well, it's because they love the Democrats.
Yeah, well, they're destroying
They're
our country.
part of the revolution.
Yes, they are. So, is anybody here? We'll go around the room. Was anybody affected by these fires that just happened in Oregon?
Up in Clatsop County, it's on the Oregon coast, northern part of the Oregon coast. The most that we were affected is by smoke, but I do know 3 people who have literally lost everything in this.
Yeah, it's sad. Was it? How bad were they down in Coos County, Rob?
It just the same, like Jim said. We had a lot of smoke down here, but we did have a fire in the Coquille Valley up by the 4-mile marker, and it burned, I forget how many acres, but it's almost completely contained. It's 70% contained. It's not a threat to any buildings or anything right now, but it was mostly smoke. But I can tell you, we're looking at blue skies, and the weather is beautiful out here. Just don't tell the tourists.
Did you were hit pretty hard down there, weren't you, or over there in Umatilla County, weren't you, Jesse?
Yeah, there was quite a few fires over here. We still have some burning right now. Umatilla County 3% has already shipped one shipment of fire relief supplies to Lebanon. So we're trying to pull together some more down here as we speak.
And didn't you say that the Tri-Cities there in Washington Bayou were surrounded by fires?
Yeah, they had fires all around them over there, but I think they have all them contained now. I'm not for sure on that, but I think they do.
Yeah. I think that maybe Kate Brown could have, if she would have showed some leadership, it might have saved some lives and some property. When I used to log, I used to be a logger, and I don't know what it is now, but back then by law you had to go fight fire if there was a fire. And we had worked all day and got called to a fire, and it was 700 acres. That was just huge. Now that's a lawn fire because of the leftist policies. Do y'all think that maybe if they would have had loggers out there that dug fire trails and had water on the job site and actually could respond, that maybe we could have saved some of this property that got burned up?
Oh, absolutely. I was up in Lincoln, Montana here a few years ago, and when I first pulled into town, I saw a fire burning up on top of the hill. Well, next to me was a couple vans full of firefighters, and they stood and watched it. They stood and watched it until it was out of control, and then they went into action. We actually had to be evacuated from the area because the fire became so bad.
So, I got to tell you, this Kate Brown been recalled, what, 7 times now? Isn't it 7 times? Something like
well,
that?
it's two different years, but
Right.
Let's see, we had 2 different groups doing it last year. We had 2 groups doing it this year, and I actually heard there was possibly 3 or 4 also trying to collect it, but doing it on their own.
Right. And I was talking to one of the medical freedom moms the other day, and she said they're going to do it again after the election. So we got to make sure and get Kim Thatcher in the Secretary of State. What do y'all think about all these recalls? Is this some kind of record? I'll go with Rob.
Well, I'm personally to the point where 3 strikes you're out. Once
Right.
you do it this many times, I think that we should start focusing on flipping the House and flipping the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And the only good thing about the recalls is that it helped us get a lot of signatures for the Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance, because we were in the Republican headquarters and we were in all the pop-up. Right alongside the petition to recall, you would have a Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance. And in fact, I have to give kudos to Misty Fox.
Yes.
She got that initiative filed back in January. And since January, she needs 10,000 signatures. She needs 15,000 for a buffer. She's right now at about 10,000 signatures, and she's collected that since January. So her and Wayne and all of those guys in Lane County, good going for what you're doing.
Well, I tell you what, I do believe that's amazing to me. I do believe she'll get it on the ballot next year. She's, there's a lot of things. I'm gonna have her on the show here at some point, because there's a lot of things been happening to her, and she's got her lawsuit with Columbia County going hard and heavy in federal court now, and I was glad to be a part of helping her get that going. But, Oregon Firearms Federation, we went to the county commissioners. The fair board down there had been violating people's rights left and right. They tried that with me, it didn't work. They tried that with her, and now she's suing them over that. But that's another day. Have y'all noticed that the anti-gunners have quit saying that no one wants to take your guns? How about you, Jesse?
I haven't seen anything like that yet. I still see they're after us.
They're still saying that they don't want to take your guns. They just want common sense gun regulations.
No, they've been saying that they want to take our guns.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Going
They've quit saying that now. It's before we were just idiots because we we thought they were going to take our guns, and now they're outright admitting it. In fact, a couple years ago, was it you? Well, no, it wasn't you. I remember who it was. There was a friend of mine who went to the Capitol. These people are so arrogant now, the supermajority, that he tried to ask his representative a question, and she said she did not have to answer them because they have the supermajority now, and not accountable anymore.
Nope.
Have y'all experienced any of that arrogance?
Oh, absolutely. We had Tiffany Mitchell.
Yeah.
She couldn't answer a question and know what the truth is if it came up and bit her on the nose. But after one of the rallies, I was in Salem, and I walked up to her office, and her little boy toy is what I called him, her assistant, he was there. He told me that she was actually in Astoria and not in Salem that day. Mm-hmm. So I had a nice little 5-minute conversation with him. And at the end of it, when I was shaking his hand, I said, I'm going to make it my personal mission to make Tiffany Mitchell a one-term wonder. And this election, she didn't even bother trying to run.
All right.
So Rob, are they finally admitting down there in Coos County they want to take your guns?
No one in Coos County is going to take your guns. In fact, we may
Right.
give you a couple as soon as you come across. We've been organizing because, like I said, we had an Antifa group and a Black Lives Matter group organized down here. There's about 30 of them. Well, right now we've got patriots organized to the point where I can drop a dime and have 100 armed men anywhere in the county. I dropped 2 dimes and I got 400 armed men. We're ready to go down here. We're not going to put up with any BS. And I'll tell you what, this next election, we're going to take Arnie Roblin's seat away from the Democrats. That Senate District 5 is going to go to Dick Anderson, and House District number 9, we're going to take that away from the Democrats because Patty McEwen is going, and we're going to put in Boomer Wright. So we're going to have Boomer Wright and Dick Anderson, 2 new Republicans,
Good.
taking the seats of 2 Democrats, and you can mark my word on that.
And I'm pretty sure that we're going to get rid of Brad Whitless finally up here. I've been working on it for about a year and a half, and I told him to his face, get ready to go home, get the rocking chair. You're done. So hopefully that's going on. I think it's going to be, I'm hoping it'll sweep Oregon and Washington. I know Washington's pretty fired up, too. I hang out with a lot of those guys, and they have been just being stepped on as bad or worse than we have. So anyways, it's just crazy. So there's one more thing I wanted to bring up about the arrogance of the left, the supermajority. A couple years ago, Senator Courtney, the president of the Senate, came out on the steps, and he literally said, rural Oregonians, sell your houses and move to Portland, or move to the big cities. He said, before we take them. And I know he was talking Agenda 21, Agenda 30 stuff, and maybe that's why, I don't know, maybe that's why there was a little lack of response to the fires. I have no idea. Maybe Kate Brown's, she said she was going to get revenge and it was going to be served
Right.
cold and slow. Anybody got any opinion on that?
I actually do. There was rumors going around, how Antifa was involved as far as some of the arsons. Mm-hmm. Well, there was also some saying in California that the environmentalists were setting this fire so that they can accelerate their environmental extremism by showing that the global warming and climate change is causing these fires, when in actuality you've got rogue environmentalists who are doing this to push their green agenda. And that was one of the rumors around. It's just a rumor, but I thought it was interesting because we know they go out in the forest, they spike trees,
Yep.
they damage logging equipment.
Yep.
So I wouldn't put it past them to do anything like that.
No, me either. And by the way, I'm on this group that they were actually recording from different counties the police scanners when they were talking about arsonists. So I do believe some of these were set by people. And I guess we're at the end of our time slot this time. We'll be right back with Trigger Warning. Hey folks, Chris here. Are you tired of political correctness and left-wing narratives? You must be, because you're listening to Trigger Warning, where we will have none of that. I'm your host, Chris Brumbles, and I have no filter when it comes to truth and common sense. I have a big mouth when it comes to protecting freedom and will never be afraid to use it. So tune in to AM 1600 Kohai every Tuesday at 3 for brand new shows. And if you have to miss one, don't fret. Trigger Warning rebroadcasts Monday through Friday at 3. politics, constitutional issues, and history are just a few topics that we will conquer on Trigger Warning. So thank you for your support, and keep tuning in to Trigger Warning on AM 1600 KOHI. The Second Amendment is the palladium of liberty and protects the first law of nature, the right to defend yourself. Our rights have been under attack for many years now by would-be tyrants who want to control you. That's why I'm asking you to remember to vote yes on Measure 5-278, the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance. Don't listen to the watermelons who are giving mis and disinformation on this county law that will protect your right to keep and bear arms. If you have questions about the say-so, call 503-263-5830 and leave a message with your contact name for Chris Brumbles, your chief petitioner for the say-so for the Columbia County. I will get in contact with you, answer your questions, and even get you a copy of the law if you'd like. So remember to vote yes on Measure 5-278, the say-so. And while you're thinking about it, go to OregonFirearms.org and sign up for the free alerts, where you will get the truth about the illegal laws coming out of Salem to turn you, the law-abiding citizen, into a felon or a victim of a criminal who aren't affected by these laws. Did you know that using the CDC's own stats, if you don't plan on using a firearm to commit a crime, commit suicide, and aren't a gangbanger, your chances of being shot by a firearm are 0.08%. That's right, you are far more likely to be struck by lightning. Gun laws are about control. It's time to be better informed about what's going on in Salem, so go to OregonFirearms.org, sign up for the free alerts, and if you feel like donating, it's not required, but it will be put to good use. As important as the Second Amendment is, the free speech protections of the First Amendment are just as important. I'm a proud contributor to Redoubt News. Please subscribe to Redoubt News, where citizen journalists who actually care about accuracy put in the time to do the research and fact check. Don't rely on the fake news of the lamestream media. Sign up to get Redoubt News. It costs nothing, and if we get enough people interested, Redoubt News Oregon will be coming soon. Remember, Redoubt News for real Americans like you. Once again, thank you for listening to Trigger Warning. Let's get back to it right now. Welcome back to Trigger Warning, Columbia County and America. We are talking with Jim Hoffman, Rob Taylor, and Jesse Bonifer, who are the chief petitioners for respectively Clatsop County, Coos County, and Umatilla County for the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance and the Second Amendment Sanctuary Amendment. During the break, we were going to talk about these resolutions that the county commissioners have basically bent over forward for Black Lives Matters, and I call them Black Lives because they were built on a lie, and they have nothing to do with Black lives. They have everything to do with undermining this country and destroying the family and everything else that we believe in here. They don't want liberty. So, talk about your resolution a little bit, if you would, Jesse.
Here in Umatilla County, the three commissioners we have here just signed their three names to a racial injustice resolution. Mm-hmm. And in the resolutions, it reads for better mortgage rates, interest rates, stuff like that, mm-hmm. how they're being subjugated because they're people of color, and they're not getting the interest rates and mortgage rates that other people are within our county. And so they didn't even take that to the people to vote on. They just all three signed their name to it and left off the white person and made it a racial or a racist document in itself.
Yeah, ours was kind of an ideologue catalog. Every leftist word you could think of, and they pretty much called everybody in the county racist. And Rob Taylor and I were talking about this before, and he's right. If there's laws that are meant to keep certain people down, what are these laws? And if they've been enforcing these laws, doesn't that make them a racist? Did they sign one in your county yet?
No, not yet.
Or Jim?
I'm waiting for it.
How about you, Rob? Did they pass one?
No way. Our commissioners are smarter than that. And in fact, I'm going to go the opposite direction. Yeah. The President of the United States just did a mandate where he is eliminating all critical race theory-based ideology the programs that are in federal agencies. He's gotten rid of all of them, but that's only the federal agencies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a resolution based on the mandate that he passed, and I'm going to go to our county and have them pass that, where the county itself will not be able to use any programs from the critical race theory ideology. And we're going to try to pass that on the county level. And if our commissioners deny us, then we're going to write it up as a initiative. We're going to let the voters decide whether we're racist or not. And I will tell you right now, America was designed to eliminate racism. And not only is America not systemically racist, the Constitution was designed to uphold all individual rights equally. Of course, not originally, but now we have changed that because the system was designed to be changed to grant us more and more liberty as we evolved. And that is happening right now. There can be racist programs. Affirmative action is a racist program.
Yes.
I believe stop and frisk is not a racist program. It's just applied unequally in poor neighborhoods. So we have to define that some of this stuff is nothing more than is nothing more than justice reform. But there is no such thing as social justice, because that's just trying to right the wrongs of the past, and we can't even right the wrongs of the that are happening in the present. So to try to do that is ridiculous. We got to treat everyone equally according to the law.
Yeah, and I don't agree with stop and frisk laws. I think it violates your rights, but I will tell you that
I agree.
It
does violate your right.
Right. Law and order is supposed to be equal too, and it's supposed to be nobody's supposed to be above the law. But if you go down to Portland, Antifa can hit you with a club, and the police will smile, and if you defend yourself, you're going to jail. I mean, I do believe that this governor has committed treason by not even coming close to enforcing her oath of office.
Protecting the citizens.
Yeah, you don't have a rule of law anymore, which you're guaranteed under Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, and it is a real sad day.
It is.
It is. So,
Yeah.
I've experienced Antifa a little bit, and I find them to be cowards unless they outnumber you 10-1. You've had a little bit of experience, haven't you, Jeff?
Oh, absolutely. I was in Salem at a Trump rally one time, and I got to bring this up. It makes me laugh. Anyway, there was a little Antifa kid stole a Trump flag from a lady who was in her 70s. Well, one of our guys, we were being separated by law enforcement agencies. One of our guys walked around behind the Antifa group and grabbed the flag and tried to get it back, and there was a little tussle that came in. I had a state police officer standing right next to me. We were both watching it. Said, "Are you going to do anything?" Said, "Nope." So I walked over there, and I don't know how many people know what a horse bite is, but I gave this kid a horse bite on his bicep. Brought him to his knees, and he started crying. And what I found was there was absolutely no muscle in that arm whatsoever. These kids hide in mommy's basements, and they don't know what they're doing. But you don't get a good, solid person standing on their side. You get them standing on our side.
Yeah, and it's I don't know if people know this, but if you look down in Austin, Texas, or even up in Seattle, the Muslims have teamed up with the communists.
Yes, they have. It's been a plan for years. I've studied Islam for for many years.
And that's
what the Rural Organization Project is, isn't it?
Well, ROP is they want to turn all the. They actually started out here in Columbia County, by the way. I'm not proud of that, but we've got just a few commies out here, and they've started all these groups, CCCHD. I call them the Columbia County Communist Headquarters Division. And
they're one of the political arms of the far radical left, and what they're doing is that's the continuation of the leftist organization that is developed in the cities. That is their way to channel that ideology out to the rural area, trying to get more and more of the fringe groups such as lesbians, queers, blacks, Mexicans, poor people, the indigent, getting all of them together, the proletariat against the bourgeoisie, and we gentlemen are the bourgeoisie. Yeah. And of course, they're going to come out here and use every group and try to divide us either by race or by sexuality or sexual orientation, or even they're going to try class. But trying to divide us by class is not working in America, and that's why they're using race.
Yep.
And that's that political arm that's moving out here to rural Oregon.
Yeah, when they found out the haves against the have-nots didn't work, because in the United States, even the poor people have 2 cars and 4 TVs. They went with oppressed against the oppressors, and the white man is the oppressor.
Right.
Yes, and
yeah, it's hard to say you're economically oppressed when even poor people in America live like kings anywhere else.
Well, they live better than kings in some countries. So, this Black Lives Matter, I visited before. In fact, Rob is the first guy on my show twice. We talked about this, and people need to know that Black Lives Matter. I can't help it. I got to call them Black Lives. It is I mean, if you go on their website, you will see that that's all they want to do is destroy the family and destroy this country. And how many times have they come to your county over there, Jesse? BLM.
We've had quite a few protests, but this last one they kind of broadcast all over Oregon and pulled in a bunch of other people from around Oregon and had a lot of speakers from out of state.
Right.
So they brought in a bunch of people too, but it was pretty peaceful.
Well,
we had a few scuffles, but nothing real major.
Yeah. They've come here twice, and both times the county stood up against them, and we had about 100 guys come out with their ARs. The second time we were pretty much gray men, but we had people everywhere. How about over there? Have they come out over there yet? I know that they were going to take over Seaside at one point, weren't they?
They talked about coming into Seaside and making an autonomous zone.
Yeah.
And so we were ready for them. We outnumbered them 5-1.
Yeah.
There was about 25 Black Lives Matter and Antifa that showed up. There was about 100 of us that showed up, both concealed carry and open carry. But they have come over. They've got a lot of plans in the future. And one of my fears is when Trump wins this next election, and I wholeheartedly believe he will, that Antifa is going to explode in Portland, but they are also going to spill out into other surrounding areas. And I've been watching my county. I know they're out there. They've been coming in, checking us out. So I believe that after the November election, they're going to be hitting our area and many others in the that surrounds the Portland area.
Yeah. Well, I hope that when our president does win re-election, he will serve them up something special.
I hope he lets us do it.
I mean, he won't have any reason to not, no more elections. So Rob, how? Why don't you go ahead and tell people all of your information in the website for this Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance and all that stuff, so that people
Sure. Like Chris had said, I have a radio show here in Coos County, and which is good because a lot of folks have now realized that AM radio is a great way to get out the message, the American message, so the pro-Constitution message. Mm-hmm. And I'm on the radio here in Coos County on KWRO, and my radio program is called The Rob Taylor Report. You can reach me at therobtaylorreport.com, and it's just robtaylorreport.com. And if you want to find out more about the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance, or if you want to contact me because you're in a county that does not have one and you want to try to file an initiative, go to sanctuaryordinance.com and you can contact me through that website. And every single county has a place where you can click the page and it'll give you information on the individual counties. Umatilla has one. Clatsop has one. I didn't say Clatsop. We're just for the record.
Good job,
so
Rob.
Clatsop has one, and so you can go there, read their version of the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance, or if it's an amendment, and you can get in contact with the chief petitioners of those counties. And so sanctuaryordinance.com is where you can get that information.
Well, thank you, Rob, and thank you, Rob, for being on the show today, and we appreciate everything you do. Jesse, you want to go ahead and give a quick wrap?
I just want to thank you guys for helping me this whole time. It was a pleasure working with you guys, and thanks for instructing me.
Well, thank you for all you did. How about you, Jim? You got anything to say?
I, too, just want to say thank you to Rob and all that he's done to help not only me, but help this state. Chris as well, he's done a lot. He's given me a lot of information. So we just need to keep the fight, keep this going. Let's stop this. I've lived in Oregon most of my life. I've watched this state just go from a nice place to live to a place that, well, I'm thinking about moving out of. Anyway.
So this wraps up another issue of Trigger Warning, and I'd like to thank once again Rob Taylor, Jim Hoffman, and Jesse Bonifer for all being on the show today. I hope you all learned about the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance. We all need to get out and vote yes on the say-so. In Columbia County, that's Measure 5-278. This is going to protect your rights, folks. While we are protecting our children, ourselves, and our county, let's remember to fire Brad Whitlis, who represents himself, not you. Let's elect Brian Stout as our representative. Let's make sure we do not elect Brandy the Dud Dudzik. She's crazy. And while we are rejecting Marxists, let's vote out Alex Tardif and replace him with Casey Garrett for County Commissioner Position 3. I don't think I need to tell you that it is imperative that we give President Trump another term in office. He won this county in 2016. Let's repeat that glorious, glorious event. Thank you for tuning in to Trigger Warning, and as always, keep Columbia County normal and sane. Join me next week with Sheriff Richard Mack here on Trigger Warning. God bless.
You've been listening to Trigger Warning with Chris Brumbles. You can email your comments to kohi.radio@gmail.com. And listen again next time for Trigger Warning with Chris Brumbles.